Eli stood near the glowing river, watching the alien sky turn purple as the twin suns slowly set. He had never seen a place like this. The planet Veralia was full of color, life, and strange sounds. He was just a human explorer, one of the few, allowed to walk freely here, but he didn't feel like a visitor. He felt like something was calling him. Sira was sitting nearby on a rock, laughing with her alien friends. Her skin was soft blue with faint silver lines, and her hair flowed like liquid light. She was beautiful, sharp, and always full of jokes. Eli had tried talking to her many times, but she always made fun of him. Still, he didn't mind. He liked her fire. "You humans think everything is easy," Sira said with a grin, looking at Eli. "If you love something, you chase it, right? Even if it's stupid." Her friends laughed, all dressed in fine clothes, wearing symbols of high rank. They were rich, powerful, and proud. Eli just smiled and kept eating his food pack, not saying much. That's when Sira leaned back and said loudly, "Bring me the rarest flower of Veralia, human, and I'll be yours." Everyone laughed louder, some almost falling over. It was just a joke, a silly challenge, something no one would take seriously. But Eli looked at her and his eyes didn't laugh. "Okay," he said calmly. "I will." The group stopped laughing just for a second. Then Sira raised an eyebrow and smirked. "Oh? Really? Good luck with that." She turned her face away, pretending not to care. But inside, something small moved in her chest, something she didn't expect. Later that night, while others drank and joked around the fire, Sira sat silently. She looked around and noticed something. Ellie was gone. She waited for him to return, but he didn't. She asked a young alien servant, "Have you seen the human?" The servant replied, "He left before sunset, asked about flowers, the rare ones." Sira laughed at first, but her smile faded slowly. "Idiot," she whispered. He actually took it seriously. Eli was already deep in the forest, following old trade paths and speaking to anyone who would listen. He asked about legends, about ancient plants, about the one flower said to bloom once every 100 years. Most laughed or shrugged. Some warned him to stay away from the wild zones. But one old trader gave him a half-burned map and said, "If you really want to die, follow this." Eli took it without fear. The next day, Sira walked through the base, acting like nothing was wrong, but her steps were quick, her eyes sharp. She overheard two guards talking. The human left, going toward the spiral trees. "That's mad, no one returns from there." Sira's heart dropped, but her face stayed cold. She didn't know why she cared, but she did. Was he really going to risk his life for a joke? Later that evening, a storm came, shaking the trees and painting the skies green. Sira stood by the balcony, watching the rain. She imagined Eli out there, lost, wet, maybe hurt. But then she shook her head. He'll come back tomorrow, empty-handed, full of scratches, but he didn't come back the next day, or the day after that. Days passed, and whispers started growing. Some said the human was lost forever. Some said he found something no one else had. Sira tried to ignore it, but at night she couldn't sleep. She remembered the way he looked at her, not with pride, not with fear, just real. No one had looked at her like that before. One night, she stood in the garden, alone. She looked up at the stars, then down at the flowers around her. They were all beautiful, but none were the one she joked about, because no one had ever found the heart bloom. It was just a story parents told their children. A glowing flower deep inside the oldest part of the forest, watched by the planet itself. Not real, just myth, but maybe, just maybe ... She turned and walked inside quickly, her steps silent. She had made a joke, but maybe it had turned into something else. And now she couldn't stop thinking about the fool who believed it. Eli, the jungle air was thick and heavy. The trees taller than buildings, their leaves glowing in the dark like quiet fire. Eli moved slowly, pushing through the thick vines with a stick he found on the edge of the wild zone. He had been walking for 2 days now, sleeping under large roots, eating dry food from his bag. and drinking from glowing water streams. There was no signal, no map, only the burned paper the old trader gave him and a quiet voice inside that told him to keep going. He didn't care that Sira had laughed. He didn't care that others thought he was foolish. He just couldn't ignore the feeling in his chest when she joked about the flower. He wanted to find it, not just to impress her, but because something about her words felt strange, like it wasn't just a joke, like something bigger was hiding under the laughter. The deeper he went, the more the jungle changed. Flowers whispered when the wind touched them, and some plants moved when he got too close. Once, he stepped on soft moss that pulsed like a heartbeat. It didn't scare him, but it made him more careful. At night, strange sounds echoed, cries, songs, and things he didn't have words for. He wrapped himself in his blanket, trying to rest, but always with one eye open. Back at the base, Sira sat alone in her family sky chamber, staring at the map of Veralia. She asked the computer to highlight wild zones, jungle myths, and old forest paths. The screen showed danger everywhere. Still, she searched for anything called heart bloom. Only one mention came up from a lost temple called Turnavari, last seen over 100 years ago. It was said the heart bloom grew only once, inside the roots of the temple, and only for the one who deserved it. She stared at the name, her fingers trembling. Was that where he was going? Eli followed the map to where the land started rising, the air colder, and the forest more alive. Suddenly, he heard a hiss, and a massive creature stepped out from behind a tree. It had 6 legs, eyes like glass, and skin that shimmered like oil. Eli froze, not reaching for his weapon, not running, just watching. The beast sniffed the air, stared at him for a long moment, then turned and walked away. He waited a full minute before breathing again. Later, he found a broken metal pod covered in vines. Inside, he found another piece of a map, showing the path to something called the Bloom Gate. He marked it in his mind and kept moving, feeling that he was being watched but never seeing anything. The forest was alive, and it was letting him in. Sira left the base the next day, alone, wearing a scout uniform and carrying only what she needed. She told no one where she was going, not even her father. She entered the jungle with confidence. But it didn't welcome her the way it did Eli. The vines pulled at her legs. The wind howled louder when she passed, and once, a glowing bug bit her and burned her skin. Still, she moved forward, whispering to the jungle, "I'm not here to harm you, just looking for a human idiot." Eli reached a place where the trees grew in a perfect circle, the center holding a stone with writing he couldn't read. But when he placed his hand on it, the letters glowed and the ground opened just enough to show a hidden path. He knew. He was close. Far behind him, Sira was stuck in thick mud, struggling to pull her leg free. She looked up and screamed in frustration, "Why are you helping him and not me?" The wind answered with a soft hum, almost like laughter. She fell silent, breathing hard, her face red and confused. Eli walked into the dark path under the ground, guided only by faint blue lights growing from the walls. He didn't know how much farther he had to go, or what he would find. But something told him this place was waiting for him, not just because of Sira's joke, but because something old, something deep, had chosen him the moment he stepped into the jungle. And far above, back in the Temple of Wind, the ancient eyes of Veralia slowly opened for the first time in a century. Eli stood in the glowing tunnel, his hand brushing the smooth stone wall that felt warm like skin. Strange symbols lit up under his touch. Not human, not alien, just old. Older than anything he had seen before. The air inside the tunnel was still, yet alive, like it was breathing around him. He took a careful step forward, then another, until the light behind him faded and only the soft blue glow ahead guided his path. Somewhere above, far from the tunnel's entrance, the jungle was calm again. The vines didn't move, the wind didn't speak. It was as if the entire forest had gone quiet, holding its breath. Sira limped through the thick trees, mud drying on her legs, scratches on her arms. She had never been this deep before. Not even during training, the jungle did not welcome her. Not like it did him. Every step felt harder, every sound sharper. She whispered again, "Eli, where are you?" But only silence answered her. She opened her wristcom and played the faint recording she had received the day before. It was Eli's voice, soft, tired, and broken by static, I think. "I found something," he had said. "The jungle talks. Or maybe I'm just hearing things." Then the voice faded, replaced by something else. A sound, a whisper. Not in any known language, but Sira knew it, not from memory, but from blood. It was the tongue of her ancestors, a language no longer spoken by anyone living. Her heart pounded. She played it again, then again. Trying to understand the words, she couldn't catch them all, but she knew the meaning. It was a welcome, a call, something old recognizing something new. She clenched her fists, her mind racing. Why would an ancient voice speak to a human? How did he hear it? Ale continued walking until the tunnel opened into a wide chamber with a ceiling so high it vanished into shadow. In the center stood a stone pillar wrapped in roots, and on top of it, a glowing crystal pulsed gently like a heart. He stepped forward, and the roots moved, parting slowly, revealing a figure. It wasn't human, not alien, not machine. It looked like all of them, and none of them. Its body was made of branches and glass, light and shadow. Its voice was music and thunder. "You have come far," it said without moving its mouth. "I followed the joke," Eli answered, his voice calm but shaky. The being tilted its head. "You followed belief." Eli didn't understand. The being walked toward him, each step silent. "This world speaks only to those who listen without pride," it said. "You walked without anger, without demand, and the forest opened." Eli swallowed hard. Then, "What is this place?" The being raised one long hand and pointed upward. "This is the gate of choosing, the path to the heart bloom." Eli stared at the glowing crystal, unsure if he should step closer. "Why me?" he asked. The being didn't answer right away. Instead, it touched his forehead gently, and images rushed into Eli's mind. Memories that weren't his visions of old stars, glowing trees, people made of light and vines. He saw a girl who looked like Sira, dressed in robes, speaking the same forgotten language he heard in the recording. She was laughing too, holding a flower that glowed in her hand. Then he saw fire, storms, silence, and time passing until only the jungle remained. The being stepped back, its glow dimming slightly. "The flower blooms once for truth," it said. "And truth has found you." Far away, Sira pushed through a wall of hanging roots and gasped. She had found the old stairs, cracked and moss-covered, leading down into the earth. Her body ached, but her feet moved faster now, her breath sharp and full of fear. She didn't know what she would find, but she had to see it. Eli stepped closer to the crystal, and the chamber slowly lit up in soft waves. Something deep inside him knew this was only the beginning. The true heart bloom was near. He could feel it, not in his head, but in his chest. Like a pull, like a promise. He didn't turn back, because whatever waited ahead wasn't just about a flower or a joke. It was about something older than both of them, and it was waking up. Asterisk, the door was not made of stone, metal, or wood. It was made of light, wrapped in vines, and shaped like a flower slowly opening. As Eli stepped forward, the petals peeled back without a sound, revealing a glowing path that floated above nothing. Beneath the walkway was darkness, so deep it looked like space itself, endless and quiet, but the path glowed under his feet with each step, lighting the way like a heartbeat. He wasn't sure where he was anymore. It didn't feel like the jungle, or the cave, or the planet. It felt like something between worlds, like walking through a memory. The voice of the guardian still echoed in his mind. "Only truth may pass," it had said, and he still didn't know what truth he had inside him. Far behind him, Sira reached the same cave entrance, breathing hard and gripping the side of the cliff. The storm above had passed, but the sky was still thick with mist. She didn't pause, just entered the tunnel without fear. She had heard the planet whisper again, but this time it was different, not soft or curious, but warning. Still, she pushed forward. The jungle did not welcome her, but it no longer stopped her either. It was watching, waiting, like it wanted to see what she would do next. Eli reached the center of the path where a platform floated like a giant leaf. At its heart stood something tall and strange, part tree, part machine, glowing softly. It turned toward him with no face but a feeling. He knew without being told. This was the Guardian, or another piece of it. The being didn't speak with words this time. Instead, it opened its chest and showed Eli a vision. In that vision, Eli saw the world through someone else's eyes. He saw Sira, younger, sitting with her father, being told stories about the heart bloom, not as a joke, but as a warning. Only the chosen may see it, her father had said, and if you ever meet someone who finds it, never take it lightly. The vision shifted, and Eli saw Sira laughing near the river, saying the words that started everything. "Bring me the rarest flower of Aurelia, and I'll be yours." Her voice playful, but her eyes saying something else, something she didn't even understand yet. Then the image faded, and Eli was back on the platform. The Guardian finally spoke. "You came not to claim, but to answer," it said. "That is why the bloom has heard you." Just then, a sound echoed behind him, boots on stone, fast, hard, full of heat. He turned slowly, already knowing who it be. Sira stood at the edge of the platform, breathing fast, her hair wet with jungle mist. Her eyes locked on Eli's, and she didn't say a word, not right away. Then she saw it, behind him, the glow, the rising vines, the signs of something awakening. "You actually found it," she said, her voice soft, but filled with disbelief. Eli smiled gently. "You told me to." She looked away for a second, then stepped forward. But the moment she did, the vines pulled back. The bridge behind her shimmered and faded, cut off. The platform sealed itself, leaving only her and Eli inside a circle of soft light. The Guardian turned to her now, and for the first time, it bowed its head. Sira froze. "What is this?" she whispered. "You carry the blood of the first speaker," the Guardian said, "and he carries the heart of the new." Eli looked at her, confused, but somehow the words made sense. The flower was not just a test, not just a prize. It was a link, one half in her, one half in him. From the center of the platform, a large bud rose slowly, thick vines wrapping around it like armor. The Guardian placed its hand over it, and the bud began to bloom. Light spilled out in waves, warm and golden, covering their faces. Inside the flower was a single seed, floating in the air, pulsing softly. "It will choose," the Guardian said. Eli and Sira stood side by side, eyes fixed on the seed. Neither of them moved, neither of them breathed, and then slowly the seed floated toward them, glowing brighter and brighter, not to one, but to both. The seed hovered in the air like it had a mind of its own. It moved gently between them, shining brighter with every second. Sira reached out first, slow and careful, her hand shaking just slightly, but the seed floated just out of her reach. Turning to Eli didn't move, didn't raise his hand. He just looked at it with calm eyes, like he understood it wasn't meant to be taken. It had to choose on its own. Then, without warning, the seed pulsed once like a heartbeat and split into two soft lights. One light flew to Eli's chest, the other to Sira's. The moment they touched, both of them saw the same vision. It was the planet, but not as it looked now. They saw a past Aurelia, full of light and floating towers. Humans had never walked here then, but the people of the planet were many and full of wisdom. At the center of their world was the heart bloom, a living force that gave life. Only two could awaken it, a pair, not chosen by blood or power, but by truth. One who walked without pride, and one who carried memory. Together, they would open the bloom and start the next cycle. Eli gasped as the light faded from his chest. Sira dropped to one knee, holding her head. Their hearts were racing, their minds full of something bigger than either of them. The guardian stepped forward and spoke softly. "The heart bloom has not bloomed for 100 years," it said. It waited for the right moment, the right pair. Eli looked at Sira. And she looked away quickly, her voice quiet. "I didn't think you'd actually do it." Eli smiled. "Neither did you." Behind them, the platform began to shift, vines unwrapping, petals unfolding. From the center, a tree rose, not large, but glowing with every color, and on one of its branches the heart bloom opened. It was beautiful, more than words, more than science, soft pink petals edged with gold. Glowing from within, breathing in slow pulses, Eli stepped closer, and the guardian did not stop him. He looked at the flower and whispered, "She said to bring it to her." The guardian tilted its head. "Then bring it." Eli reached out with both hands and gently picked the flower. Nothing broke, nothing faded. The tree stayed alive, the platform calm. The heart bloom rested in his hands like it belonged there. The moment he turned to Sira and held it out, the flower responded. Its glow changed, softened, and vines grew gently down toward her feet. The guardian spoke again. "The bloom does not belong to one, but to the bond between." Sira didn't know what to say. The girl who made jokes, who laughed at humans, now stood in front of a flower that was never supposed to be found. And the one who found it wasn't a warrior or a noble. He was just a quiet human who believed a joke could mean something more. Before either of them could speak, alarms echoed through the air above the jungle. Red lights flashed in Sarah's wristcom. She checked it quickly, her face growing pale. "They're coming," she whispered. "The elders," Eli frowned. "Why?" "They think you've stolen something sacred," she said, stepping back. "They don't understand the bloom has chosen." Eli looked down at the flower, then at her. He didn't panic, he didn't run, he just said, "What do we do?" Sira took a shaky breath. "We hide it." But the guardian raised a hand. "There is no need to hide what is true," it said. "The bloom will speak for itself." Outside, ships were already flying over the jungle, casting long shadows across the trees. Sira touched Eli's arm. "Whatever happens next, don't let go of it." "I wasn't planning to," he replied. The heart bloom glowed again, warmer this time, almost like it understood what was coming. It had waited 100 years to be found, and now it would face the world. Asterisk, the sky was filled with noise. Ships circling like birds of prey, their engines hummed low. A warning sound that sent chills through the air. On the ground, the jungle had gone silent again, not out of peace, but fear. The trees bent slightly as if bowing. The wind held its breath. Eli and Sira stood at the edge of the sacred platform. The heart bloomed between them. In Sarah's hand, it glowed softly, reacting to her touch. The same flower that had been called myth now pulsed with real light. Real proof. The ships landed with hard blasts of air, and armored figures stepped out. The Varelian elders wore gold robes and emotionless masks. At their center was Sira's father, tall, proud, and furious. Behind him were guards holding plasma spears and scanners aimed at Eli. "Sira," her father's voice rang out, cold and sharp. "What have you done?" She didn't flinch, didn't step back. Instead, she raised the heart bloom for all to see. "It chose him," she said quietly. The elders murmured, some stepping closer, others looking away. One of them scanned the flower, and the device sparked, then died. The flower refused to be measured. It was alive. But not just alive, it was aware. Eli said nothing, just stood by her side. He didn't understand their words, but he knew the look in their eyes, fear, not of him, but of what he held. "You brought a human to a sacred place," one elder hissed. "You let him touch the heart bloom." "I didn't let him," Sarah said, her voice steady. "It let him." The elders paused, unsure. Then the guardian appeared from the vines, taller than before, glowing with calm power. Its voice rumbled like earth moving beneath the sea. "You speak of rules," it said, "but the bloom follows truth, not order." The elders stepped back as the guardian walked past them without fear. It turned to Sira and Eli. bowing its head. "The cycle has turned," it said. "And these two have completed the bridge," one elder shouted. "This is madness. We must take it back. Seal the platform, destroy the path." Sira's father raised a hand, stopping them. His eyes were on Eli now, not with hate, but with confusion. "What did you do?" he asked quietly. Eli met his eyes and replied with only 3 words. "I listened, that's all." The guardian nodded. "He did not come for power, not for glory, not even for love," it said. "He came because of a promise, even one spoken." As a joke, the elders were silent now, unsure of what to say. The rules they had followed for centuries were breaking in front of them. And the jungle was watching, listening, waiting. The heart bloom pulsed again, brighter than before. A ring of light spread across the platform, across the trees, through the roots, into the soil. Every creature in the jungle raised its head. And the vines began to bloom with tiny versions of the flower. The elders gasped as light spread through the land. The guardian turned one last time. "It cannot be undone now," it said. "The heart bloom has spoken." Sira looked at her father, her voice shaking but strong. "I didn't plan this," she said, "but I won't run from it." He looked at her, then at the human beside her, and for the first time, he didn't see a stranger. He saw someone who had gone where no one else dared, and returned with truth in his hands. The guards lowered their weapons, the ships powered down, and the jungle began to sing, not with music, but with light, with warmth, with something ancient that had waited a very long time. The elders stepped back and made way, not for Sira, not for Eli, but for the path ahead, the path the heart bloom had opened. And as the sun broke through the mist above, shining down on the glowing petals around them, Eli whispered, "Was this still part of the joke?" Sira smiled, her eyes soft. "No," she said, "this was the answer." The jungle was no longer wild, no longer silent. It breathed with soft light, pulsing through trees, leaves, and sky. Every living thing on Veralia felt the change. The cycle that had slept for 100 years was awake again. Eli and Sira stood in the center of it all, still holding the heart bloom together. The petals glowed between their hands, not fading, not wilting. It was alive, and it had chosen. Not just Eli, not just Sira, but both together. Sira's father stepped forward. Slowly, his proud face quiet. For once, he didn't speak with commands, only with eyes full of questions. Eli met his gaze with calm strength, not trying to prove anything, just standing there. The same human who had believed a joke could mean something more. The guardian bowed low before them one last time, its voice softer now, like wind through tall grass. "The bloom is a vow," it said, "and a vow must be returned." Sira tilted her head. "Returned to who?" "To each other," the guardian replied. The heart bloom shimmered and released a gentle ring of light, wrapping around Eli and Sira like a circle of stars. Sira's skin glowed where the light touched her, the same ancient symbols forming gently. Across her arms, Eli's chest glowed too, not with symbols, but with warmth. Their connection was no longer silent, no longer hidden. It was part of the planet now, and the planet had accepted it. The vines beneath their feet shifted and lifted them slightly into the air. The crowd of elders, guards, and watchers stepped back. No one knew what to say. Even Sira was speechless. Her mouth open, eyes wide, hands still trembling, she looked at the flower in her hand, then at Eli. This wasn't supposed to happen, she whispered. Eli smiled. Then what was supposed to happen? She shook her head. "I don't know." Then she laughed, a real, quiet laugh, not mocking, not teasing, and said, "I only said it to mess with you." Eli looked at her, heart beating fast. "Yeah," he said, "but I still went." She looked down, trying to hold back the smile, but it broke through anyway. "You climbed mountains, crossed death routes, talked to ancient tree ghosts, and nearly died," she said. "And all because I made a joke. Maybe it wasn't a joke." "To me," Eli said softly. The vines lowered them gently back to the platform. The glow faded slowly, leaving only the soft hum of the forest all around. The heart bloom curled slightly but did not close. It rested now, like a task completed. But it remained whole, a living memory, proof that belief could shape reality. The elders began to leave, unsure of what to write in their reports. The jungle had rewritten history, and the planet had spoken. Nothing they said could change that now. Sarah's father walked past Eli without a word, then paused and turned back. She never laughs like that with anyone else, he said, then walked away, disappearing into the trees. Eli and Sarah sat together on the edge of the platform as the light slowly faded into dusk. She leaned against his shoulder, her voice soft. So, what now? Eli looked at the sky. I don't know, he replied. But I'm not going anywhere unless you tell me to. She was quiet for a moment, then held up the flower. It still glowed faintly in her hand. I told you I'd be yours if you brought it to me, she said. Eli turned his head slowly toward her. Her face was calm, serious, but her eyes sparkled. You really meant it? He asked. She looked away, then back again, her cheeks turning slightly silver in the light. I don't joke twice, she whispered. Eli didn't speak, didn't move. He just smiled, the kind of smile you give when everything finally makes sense. And far above, in the tallest trees, tiny flowers began to bloom where none had bloomed before. The heart bloom had returned, and it had left its story in the hearts of two unlikely souls, one who believed a joke and one who didn't expect anyone ever would.